Okay, as I was saying a little bit earlier, we're on chapter 31, Advice to Ishan. Okay. Saturday, October 11th, 1884. Sri Ramakrishna lay on the small couch in his room at Dakshineshwar Temple Garden. It was about 2 in the afternoon. M and Priya Mukherjee were sitting on the floor. M had left his school at 1 o'clock and had just arrived at Dakshineshwar. The master was telling anecdotes about the calculating nature of the wealthy Jadu Malik. You all remember he uses Jadu Malik in his garden house as an example many, many times. Master, once I went to Jadu Malik's house. He asked right away, how much is the carriage hire? Someone told him it was 3 rupees and 2 annas. Then he questioned me about it. Next, one of his people secretly asked the coachman, who said it was 3 rupees and 4 annas. All laughed. At that, he ran to us and said, how much did you say the carriage hire was? A broker was present. He said to Jadu, there's a plot of land at Burbasar for sale. Will you buy it? Jadu asked the price, and the broker told him. Jadu said, won't he give it for less? I said to Jadu, come. You aren't going to buy the land. You're only bargaining. Isn't that so? He turned to me and laughed. This is the nature of the worldly man. He wants people to come to him. That spreads his name in the market. Jadu went to Adhar's house. I told him it had made Adhar very happy. He said, What? Was he really happy? A certain Malik came to Jadu's house. He was very clever and deceitful. I saw it in his eyes. I looked at him and said, it isn't good to be clever. The crow is very clever, but it eats others' filth. I could tell he was badly off. Jadu's mother was amazed and said to me, how did you know he hadn't a penny? I saw it from his appearance. Narayan entered the room and sat on the floor. Master to Priyanath. Well, your Hari is a fine young man. Priyanath, what is so fine about him? Of course, he has a childlike nature. Narayan, he addressed his wife as mother. Master, what? Even I can't do that. And he calls her mother? To Priyanath, you see, the boy is very quiet. His mind is directed to God. Sri Ramakrishna changed the subject of conversation. Master, do you know what Hari said? What him said? We've got new glasses, so there's... Do you know what Hem said? He said to Baburam, God alone is real, all else is illusory. All laughed. Oh no, he said it sincerely. Again, he told me he would take me to his house and sing kirtan, but he didn't do it. I understand that he said later on, what will people say if I sing with drums and cymbals? He was afraid what people might think he was crazy. Haripada has fallen into the clutches of a woman of the Goshpara sect. He can't get rid of her. He says that she takes him on her lap and feeds him. She claims that he looks on him as the baby Krishna. I've warned him a great many times. She says that she thinks of him as a child, but this maternal affection soon degenerates into something dangerous. You see, you should keep far away from women. Then you may realize God. It is extremely harmful to have much to do with women who have bad motives or to eat food from their hands. They rob a man of his spirituality. Only by being extremely careful about women can one preserve one's love of God. One day Bhavanath, Rakhal, and some other youngsters had cooked their own meal in the temple garden. They were sitting at their meal when a Baul arrived, sat down with them, and said he wanted to eat with them. I said that there was not enough food. If anything was left, it would be kept for him. He became angry and left. On the Vijoya day, a man allows anyone and everyone to feed him with his own hand. It is not good. If one can eat food from the hand of a devotee but one can eat food from the hand of a devotee who is pure in heart. You must be extremely careful about women. Women speak of the attitude of Gopala. Pay no attention to any such thing. The proverb says, a woman devours the three worlds. Many women, when they see handsome and healthy young men, lay snares for them. That is why they call the attitude. That is what they call the attitude of Gopala. Now Ramakrishna also gave the same advice to women devotees that he saw. Stay far away from all these men who are going to set traps and lead you astray. Those who develop dispassion from early youth, those who roam about yearning for God from boyhood, those who refuse all worldly life, belong to a different class. They belong to an unsullied aristocracy. If they develop true renunciation, they keep themselves at least 50 cubits away from women, lest their spiritual mood be destroyed. Once falling into the clutches of women, they no longer remain on the level of unsullied aristocracy. They fall from it and come to a lower level. People who practice renunciation from youth belong to a very high level. Their ideal is very pure. They are stainless. How can a man conquer passion? He should assume the attitude of a woman. I spent many days as the handmaid of God. I dressed myself in women's clothes, put on ornaments, and covered the upper part of my body with a scarf, just like a woman. With the scarf on, I used to perform the evening worship before the image. Otherwise, how could I have kept my wife with me for 8 months? Both of us behaved as if we were the handmaids of the Divine Mother. I cannot speak of myself as a man. One day I was in an ecstatic mood. My wife asked me, "How do you regard me?" "As the blissful mother," I replied. Do you know the significance of the Shiva emblem? It is the worship of the symbols of fatherhood and motherhood. The devotee worshiping the image prays, "O Lord, please grant that I may not be born into this world again, that I may not have to pass again through a mother's womb." A tutor of the Tagores entered the room with some boys of the family. Sri Ramakrishna continued talking. Master to the devotees, Sri Krishna has a peacock feather in his crest. The feather bears the sign of the female sex. The significance of this is that Krishna carries Prakriti, the female principle, on his head. When Krishna joined the circle of the gopis to dance with them, he appeared there as a woman. That is why you see him wearing women's apparel in the company of the gopis. Unless a man assumes the nature of a woman, he is not entitled to her company. Assuming the attitude of a woman, he can sport with her and enjoy her company, but a man must be extremely careful during the early stages of spiritual discipline. Then he must live far away from any woman. He must not go too close to one, even if she is a great devotee of God. You see, a man must not sway his body while climbing to the roof. He may fall. Weak people should hold on to a support while going up the stairs. But it is quite different when one reaches perfection. After the realization of God, there is not much for a man to fear. He has become, to a great extent, secure. The important thing is for a man somehow to climb to the roof. After that, he can even dance there. But he cannot dance on the steps. Again, after climbing to the roof, you need no longer discard what you discarded before. You find that the stairs are made of the same materials, bricks, lime, and brick dust, as the roof. The woman you have to be so careful about at the beginning will appear to you, after the realization of God, as the Divine Mother herself. Then you will worship her as the Divine Mother. You won't fear her so much. I think we can see a perfect example of this with the way Swami Vivekananda was so at ease with all of the families that he stayed with. He did view all of the women that were in the families as manifestations of Divine Mother and did not have to keep his distance. When you read the letters that he wrote to the young girls of the family and to Mother Church, and you can see that he had already attained this perfection that Ramakrishna was talking about. The thing is to touch the granny, as children do in the game of hide and seek. Then you can do whatever you like. Man, looking outward, sees the gross. At that time, his mind dwells in the Annamaya Kosha, the gross body. Next is the subtle body. Functioning through the subtle body, the mind dwells in the Manomaya Kosha and the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Next is the causal body. Functioning through the causal body, the mind enjoys bliss. It dwells in the Anandamaya Kosha. This corresponds to the semi-conscious state experienced by Chaitanya. Last of all, the mind loses itself in the great cause. It disappears, it merges in the great cause. What one experiences after that cannot be described in words. In his innermost state of consciousness, Chaitanya enjoyed this experience. Do you know what this state is like? Dayananda described it by saying, "Come into the inner apartments and shut the door. Anyone and everyone cannot enter that part of the house." I used to meditate on the flame of a light. I thought of the red part as gross, the white part inside the red as subtle, and the stick-like black part, which is the innermost of all, as the causal. By certain signs, you can tell when meditation is being rightly practiced. One of them is that a bird will sit on your head thinking you are an inert thing. Okay? If you're meditating outside. I first met Keshav at a meeting of the Adi Samaj. Several members of the Samaj were sitting on the platform. Keshav was in the middle. I saw him motionless as a log. Pointing to Keshav, I said to Mathur Babu, "Look there. That bait has been swallowed by a fish." Because of that power of meditation, he achieved what he wanted, name, fame, and so forth, through the grace of God. One can meditate even with eyes open. One can meditate even while talking. Take the case of a man with toothache. Tutor of the Tagores. "Yes, sir, I know that very well." All laughed. Master smiling. "Yes, even when his teeth ache, he does all his duties, but his mind is on the pain. Likewise, one can meditate with eyes open and while talking to others as well." Tutor. "One of the epithets of God is Redeemer of the sinner. That is our hope. God is compassionate." Master. "The Sikhs too said that God was compassionate. I asked, how is he compassionate? Why, they answered, he has begotten us, he has created so many things for us, he has brought us up to be men, and he protects us from danger at every step." Thereupon I said, After begetting us, God looks after us and feeds us. Is there much credit in this? Suppose a son is born to you. Do you expect a man from another part of the city to bring him up? Tutor: Revered sir, one man quickly succeeds in spiritual life, and another doesn't succeed at all. How do you explain that? Master, the truth is that a man succeeds to a great extent because of tendencies inherited from his previous births. People think he has attained this goal all of a sudden. A man drank a glass of wine in the morning. It made him completely drunk. He began to behave improperly. People were amazed to see that he could be so drunk after one glass. But another man said, "Why, he's been drinking all night." Hanuman burnt down the golden city of Lanka. People were amazed that a mere monkey could burn the whole city. But then they said, the truth is that the city was burnt by the sighs of Sita and the wrath of Rama. Truth is, look at Lala Babu, the well-known householder Bengal, who renounced the world at an early age and lived in Mathura as a Vaishnava monk. He had so much wealth. Could he have renounced it all so suddenly without the good tendencies from a previous birth? And Rani Bhavani, so much knowledge and devotion in a woman. In his last birth, a man is endowed with sattva. His mind is directed to God. He longs for God. He withdraws his mind from worldly things. Krishnadas Pal came here. I found him full of rajas, but it must be said that he observed the Hindu customs. He left his shoes outside before entering the room. After a little conversation, I discovered that he had no stuff inside. I asked him about man's duty. He said, to do good to the world. I said, my dear sir, who are you? What good will you do to the world? Is the world such a small thing that you think you can help it? So often we all do that. We think we can make great changes. Narayan arrived. Sri Ramakrishna was very happy to see him. He seated Narayan by his side on the small couch. He showed him his love by stroking his body and giving him sweets to eat. Then he asked Narayan tenderly, will you have some water? Narayan was a student at M school. At home, his people beat him for visiting Sri Ramakrishna. The master said to Narayan with an affectionate smile, you had better get a leather jacket, then the beating won't hurt. Turning to Harish, the master said that he would like to have a smoke. Again, addressing Narayan, Sri Ramakrishna said, that woman who has established an artificial relationship of mother and son with Haripada came here the other day. I have warned Haripada very often. She belongs to the Goshpara sect. I asked her if she had found her man. She said yes, and mentioned a man's name. To M. Nilkanta came here the other day. What spiritual fervor he has. He said he would come another day and sing for us. They are dancing over there. Why don't you go and see it? To Ramlal, there is no oil in the room. Looking at the oil jar, the servant hasn't filled it. This is also typical of what we've heard of Sri Ramakrishna. He noticed every single detail of everything in his room. Everything had to be in its place and perfect. And he taught Holy Mother how to do this and keep everything. He taught her all of her housekeeping. Sri Ramakrishna was walking up and down, now in his room, now on the south veranda, occasionally pausing on the semicircular porch west of his room. He would look at the Ganga. After a little while, he returned to his room and sat on the small couch. It was past 3 in the afternoon. The devotees took their seats on the floor. The master sat in silence before them, now and then casting a glance at the walls, where many pictures were hanging. To Sri Ramakrishna's left was a picture of Sarasvati, and beyond it a picture of Gaur and Nitai singing kirtan with their devotees. In front of the master hung pictures of Dhruva, Prahlada, and Mother Kali. On the wall to his right was another picture of the Divine Mother, Rajeshwari. Behind him was a picture of Jesus Christ, rising the drowning Peter. Suddenly Sri Ramakrishna turned to M and said, "You see, it is good to keep pictures of sannyasis and holy men in one's room. When you get up in the morning, you should see the faces of holy persons rather than the faces of other men. People with rajasic qualities keep English pictures on their walls. Pictures of rich men, the king, the queen, the Prince of Wales, and white men and women walking together. That shows their rajasic temperament. You acquire the nature of the people whose company you keep. Therefore, even pictures may prove harmful. Again, a man seeks the company that agrees with his own nature. The Paramahamsas keep near them a few young boys 5 or 6 years old. They allow such boys to be near them. Attaining the state of a Paramahamsa, a man loves the company of boys. Like the Paramahamsas, the boys are not under control of the gunas, sattva, rajas, or tamas. By looking at trees, a man awakens in his heart the picture of a hermitage in which a rishi is practicing austerity. A Brahmin from Sinti entered the room and saluted Sri Ramakrishna. He had studied Vedanta in Benares. He was stout and had a smiling face. "Master, hello, how are you? You haven't been here in a long time." Pundit, smiling, "Worldly duties, sir. You know I have very little leisure." The pundit sat down, and the master began to talk with him. "Master, you spent a long time in Benares. Tell us what you saw there. Tell us something about Dayananda." Pundit, "Yes, I met him." "You also met him, didn't you?" Master, "Yes, I visited him. He was living then in a garden house on the other side of the Ganga. Keshab was expected there that day. He longed for Keshab as the chatak bird longs for rain. He was a great scholar and made fun of the Bengali language. He admitted the existence of the deities, but Keshab did not. Dayananda used to say, 'God has created so many things. Couldn't he have created the deities?' Dayananda believed the ultimate reality to be without form. Captain was repeating the name of Rama. Dayananda said to him sarcastically, 'Better repeat Sandesh.'" Pundit, in Benares, the pundits had great discussions with Dayananda. Finally, he was left alone with all the others against him. They made it so hot for him that he thought the only way to save him was by running away. All the pundits shouted with one voice, "Whatever Dayananda has said is to be despised." I saw Colonel Olcott there. The Theosophists believe in the existence of Mahatmas. They also speak of the lunar, solar, stellar, and other planes. A Theosophist can go in his astral body to all these planes. Oh, Olcott said many such things. Well, sir, what do you think of Theosophy? Master, the one essential thing is bhakti, loving devotion to God. Do the Theosophists seek bhakti? They're good if they do. If Theosophy makes the realization of God the goal of life, then it is good. One cannot seek God if one constantly busies oneself with the Mahatmas and the lunar, solar, and stellar planes. A man should practice sadhana and pray to God with a longing heart for love of his lotus feet. He should direct his mind to God alone. withdrawing it from the various objects of the world. The Master sang, "O my mind, to know the nature of God, you are groping like a madman locked in a dark room. He is grasped through ecstatic love. How can you fathom him without it? And for that love, the mighty yogis practice yoga from age to age. When love awakes, the Lord, like a magnet, draws to him the soul." Continuing, the Master said, "You may speak of the scriptures of philosophy of Vedanta, but you will not find God in any of these. You will never succeed in realizing God unless your soul becomes restless for him. Only through affirmation, never negation, can you know him. Neither through Veda, nor through Tantra, nor the six darshanas. It is in love's elixir only that he delights, O mind. He dwells in the body's innermost depths in everlasting joy." One must be very earnest about God. Listen to another song. Can everyone have the vision of Radha? Can everyone taste her love? This, the rarest treasure of all, no earthly wealth can buy. Without devotions and sadhana, none can ever obtain it. The raindrop falling upon the deep when Svati shines on high is formed within the oyster shell into a priceless pearl. Can such a pearl be formed from rain that falls at other times? Mothers with their babes in arms may beckon to the moon to leave the sky and come to them, but only the babes are fooled. Does the moon ever leave the sky and dwell upon the earth? One must practice intense spiritual discipline. Can one obtain the vision of God all of a sudden without any preparation? A man asked me, "Why don't I see God?" I said to him, as the idea came to my mind, "You want to catch a big fish? First make arrangements for it. Throw spiced bait into the water, get a line and a rod. At the smell of the bait, the fish will come from the deep water. By the movement of the water, you will know that the big fish has come. You want to eat butter, but what will you achieve by simply repeating there is butter in milk? You have to work hard for it. Only thus can you separate butter from milk. Can one see God by merely repeating God exists? One needs sadhana. The Divine Mother herself practiced austere sadhana to set an example for mankind. Sri Krishna, who is none other than the ultimate Brahman, also practiced sadhana to set an example for others. Sri Krishna as the Purusha, and Radha, the Prakriti, the Chit Shakti, the Adya Shakti. Radha is the Prakriti, the embodiment of the three gunas. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are in her. As you remove the layers of an onion, you will see tints of both black and red, then only red, and last of all, only white. The Vaishnava scriptures speak of Kama Radha, Prema Radha, Nitya Radha, Chandravali is Kamrada, Srimati is Prem Radha, Nanda as Nitya Radha, holding Gopal in her arms. And there's a footnote here delineating what the three kinds of Radhas are. Kamrada, full of seductive power, is the first aspect of Radha. Prem Radha, full of ecstatic love, is her second aspect. Nitya Radha is her third aspect as the eternal primordial power. Chandravali, one of the gopis, had a lustful attitude toward Sri Krishna. Srimati is another name for Radhika, the foremost of the gopis. Nanda was Sri Krishna's foster father, and he was he's the one who carried Krishna over to the, Krishna's birth father carried him over and gave him to Nanda. across the river when Devaki's mother was killing all of her babies. Devaki, Krishna's mother's brother, was killing all of the babies that she had. The Brahman of Vedanta and the Chit Shakti are identical, like water and its wetness. The moment you think of water, you must think of its wetness. And the moment you think of water's wetness, you must also think of water. Or it is like the snake and its wiggling motion. The moment you think of the snake, you must also think of its wriggling motion. And the moment you think of the snake's wriggling motion, you must also think of the snake. When do I call the ultimate reality by the name of Brahman? When it is actionless or unattached to action. When a man puts on a cloth, he remains the same man as when he was naked. He was naked, now he is clothed. He may be naked again. There is poison in the snake, but he doesn't harm the snake. It is poison to him who is bitten by the snake. Brahman itself is unattached. I think we'll stop there at the top of page 609. We're going to go in. Names and forms are nothing but the manifestations of the power of Prakriti. Okay, any questions about anything we've read?
Yes.
Okay. What is it, John?
It's a subject I brought up before, but, in talking about renunciation, I think you said 50 cubits difference between a man and a woman. A cubit's 18 inches. That's 75 feet. It sounds sort of interesting, but my point is this. Ramakrishna obviously talks a lot about renunciation, yet he's always asking for a smoke. That sounds strange.
Oh. John, he used, bring me a glass of water, I need a smoke, as ways to bring his consciousness back to his body. He lived in the realm of ecstatic love. He lived in the realm of where he was in samadhi most of the time. He had to actively and consciously bring his mind low enough to interact with people. And that's when he would say, when he came out of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when he would say, I need a drink of water, or I want to smoke. He was occupying a human body. And when occupying that human body, he relates to other people to bring their mind up.
Okay,
but he does not, it's not attachments. It's not, he
died of throat cancer, so he must have been fairly attached to smoke. And we occupy human bodies. I think all renunciation, total renunciation is impossible. You wouldn't have any reproduction, of course, other than the homeowners, I suppose. It's just an interesting point. I'm sure your explanation probably works, and I need to think about it a little bit more, but it sounds very strange. It sounds hypocritical.
Well, hopefully you will, as you get more familiar with the of the life of Ramakrishna, it will make more sense. Because our lives are so different from his life. And he's trying to tell us how we can achieve God. But he's definitely, there are things that he cannot, as he said, certain things cannot be explained with words.
Okay.
And he tries to bring the mind down so he can explain with words. But there are no words to explain Brahman.
That part I have, and I believe thoroughly, intimately. The thing about the smoke, though,
but you see, we don't live in the same realm that Ramakrishna lived in. Yeah. We're so very much attached to our bodies and our minds and our intellect and our opinions and our that we can't even hope to fathom what he was doing.
I'll buy that. Thank you.
So his asking for a smoke is simply bringing his mind down to a relatable plane. I need a drink of water. They're all little. As he said too, you can be meditating while talking to other people, while walking. Most of us can't. We're doing well if we can keep the mantra rolling around constantly. But actually enjoying the bliss of Brahman while we're walking and talking, hopefully, we'll work for it. Okay, now, tomorrow, Sunday, Father's Day, Vrajaprana will speak on the spiritual father. Then we will, on Wednesday, have Ramakrishna Nanda's Apostle to the South, as usual at 5. We'll have a gospel reading at 5 on Saturday. And the next Sunday will be service as worship, practical ways for serving the sacred in others with Swami Harinamananda, who is just finished the retreat at Asilomar, which was dealing with some of this. So I hope we get to see you all there and we're enjoying the warm weather. I hope all of you are too, after all this fog. Okay. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.